One thing, there are a lot of ghosts in your past that are going to pop up in this time because everyone is bored.
What I am is of my mindset. Yo, I'm in control, no drive.
This is Phay Mutepa, the creative director of Africa Web TV. Normally, you don't see me on any of our videos, but normally we don't always have COVID-19 or Corona taking over the world as we know it. I want to find out what is happening in Zimbabwe. So who better to call than our own Phay Mutepa, who is going to offer us a perspective about how life is in Zimbabwe and how people are coping with COVID-19.
I'm a king, yes, I'm a king.
Hey, welcome to this COVID-19 era.
Hey, baby, how have you been doing?
It's been strange, to say the least. And how have you been doing?
I've been all right. It's a bit strange to not be able to do things that you usually take for granted. Mm-hmm. You know, just going to the bar or going to the cafe, meeting up for coffee and stuff. We usually take these things for granted. And I myself, I know a lot of people out there would agree, I'm usually busy. So I don't go out to hang out with people. But now I'm like, hey, next time you invite me, I'm going to be there.
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
But yeah, it's trying time.
You are from Zimbabwe. What news do you hear from Zimbabwe? How are people coping there?
It's crazy. On the 27th of March, the president announced that we're going to have a total lockdown for 21 days. You know, at that period in time, the moment that he said it, Zimbabwe only had about 5 confirmed cases and 1 death from corona. So we had the 21-day lockdown, which is a good idea if you look at it from a bird's eye view. You know, it's absolutely good. This is what almost everybody in the world is doing. Total lockdown, people stay at home, social distancing works. But if you zoom in, it's not really as rosy.
Why would you say that?
The issue of social distancing in itself, or self-quarantine, self-isolation, that can only be done with the privileged. Why I say that? Because the privileged in our society are able to stay at home, to work from home where they have internet. They are able to buy in bulk and stock up their pantries because they have the money. You know, they are able to, if somebody is infected with COVID in their house, they're able to put that person in a spare room to isolate them. But the majority of people in our societies, in the developing world or in Africa, Zimbabwe included, they cannot afford that. They cannot afford. You have a situation whereby a family is living with 10 people under the same roof. By same roof, I mean 1 room, you know, and the neighbors are just right next door. You can hear what the neighbors are doing, you know. So such a situation does not even allow for self-isolation. If one person in that house catches COVID, everybody else does. That family lives from hand to mouth. They live on hand to mouth. They go out on the streets to sell their produce. They are vendors. That's the ordinary person at the bottom of the pyramid. That person survives every day. So if you tell them to stay at home now, where are they going to get food from? How are they going to fend for their families? You know, they cannot. And they cannot buy in bulk because the only meal they have at the end of the day is from the money that they have gotten during the day, you know. So it is really for the privilege. It doesn't really work for a lot of people. So in the case of Zimbabwe, you have areas where there is no running water. And what is the World Health Organization telling you? Wash your hands. So how do you expect these people to wash their hands where there's no running water? How do you expect these people to sanitize their hands when they cannot afford hand sanitizer? Do you get it? 1 meter apart. How are we going to, in a family of 10, how are we going to sit 1 meter apart in 1 room? You know, so yes, a lockdown is good. Yes, people should social distance, but there should be measures put in place to support, to protect these vulnerable communities, to protect these vendors, to protect people who live on hand to mouth, So in Zimbabwe, those measures are not put yet.
In Europe and America, the first thing people started hoarding was toilet paper. What are people hoarding in Zimbabwe?
People started hearing the news of people panic buying in Europe and in America, yeah? A lot of people were like, yeah, we cannot panic buy in Zimbabwe. We are just panicking. When the lockdown was announced, or when there were rumors that there was going to be a lockdown, people then started going to the supermarkets to hoard. And mind you, this is only happening in the affluent parts of Harare, of Zimbabwe. If you go to the high density suburbs, I hear it's business as usual. But then now, the armed forces, we have the military, we have the police that are now patrolling the streets, telling everybody to go home. Beating up people, chasing people, go home. So anyway, to answer your question, people in the beginning were holding hand sanitizer and masks.
Militaries patrolling?
I have seen pictures of the police outside beating people. I've seen just 2 days ago, a truckload of vegetable produce was being transported from one town in Mutare to Harare, the capital, to sell, right? The police stopped the car, confiscated the produce, and burnt it.
Why?
Exactly. Why are you burning it? So this is what they are doing. They're taking, if they see you on the street, they're taking your produce, they chuck it away, they burn it, or I don't know. They beat people up. There are videos of people being beat up right now, and it's just crazy to go outside. When you hear that the armed forces are now on the streets, everyone is like, I don't want to be part of that. Because we have seen people being gunned down on the streets. We have seen people being beaten on the streets. And if you're going to the supermarket, produce a grocery list so that we see you are really going to the supermarket. In some cases, they say they would need to go to your house to see if you are actually out of the stock you're going to look for. But I mean, that's already against the social distancing rule, right? So, yeah.
Talking about this social distancing, I've seen a lot of videos, music videos, most especially, artists trying to encourage people to social distance, to sanitize, and wash their hands and all of that. But what it's very striking in those videos are, you are telling people to sanitize, you are telling people to social distance, but everybody is in that video together with each other. Aren't you afraid that if COVID really takes root in a country like Zimbabwe, it's going to be really Armageddon?
It's going to be a catastrophe. It's going to be, I have no words to say, because I told you the police are on patrol, right? But then the problem is the same problem that you're talking about. They have their truck. There are 50 policemen in one truck. There's no social distancing. They are pegged like ants in there, and they are going to tell people to stay home. So one lady, some video that I saw on social media, one lady was questioning, does COVID-19 only affect us, the ordinary folk, and not the police? Because we don't see you guys doing social distancing or teaching us that this thing is very dangerous.
What is the most ridiculous myth you've heard about COVID-19?
Black people don't catch it. A minister in Zimbabwe actually said COVID is God's punishment for the West for putting sanctions on Zimbabwe. Yeah.
You punish Zimbabwe, God will punish the rest of the world.
It might seem funny, or it might seem like a very trivial thing, but some people actually took that message home and thought, oh, COVID-19 is not in Zimbabwe. COVID-19 is not going to affect us. It's in the West, or it's in China, it's in the East. That's what they thought. But then when we had our first documented and confirmed case, which was in Victoria Falls, people were like, okay, now this thing is at the doorstep. And when we experienced the first death, and it happened to somebody that everybody knew and everybody loved, And all of a sudden you hear, he has passed. People started really thinking, okay, this thing is no longer knocking at our doorstep, but it is in our house. So people started trying to research more. That's when we started hearing things, COVID awareness being talked about on radio, on televisions, everywhere, but it's still not enough.
Yeah. In Europe, certain governments have passed laws to compensate people who lost their income as a result of COVID-19. What is the government in Zimbabwe doing?
Zimbabwe is cash strapped. It doesn't have that social security net, that safety net for people. But I hear, it's not confirmed, but I hear that they're trying to come up with ways to give people money who, from low-income households. I'm not sure how true is that. But if they are really trying to find a way to compensate, then that would be amazing. I don't know how they're going to be doing it because I'm not an economist, but yeah, so far there is nothing. That's why a lot of people are actually defying the rules of staying at home and just going out, hoping they will sell something because they will die of hunger. Some people would rather, they're stuck in between a serious virus that is ravaging the whole world or hunger.
What advice would you give to people in this kind of situation?
Keep a routine. Keep a routine. Wake up in the morning, clean the house, do a morning workout, do something. Keep a routine, keep active. One thing, there are a lot of ghosts in your past that are going to pop up in this time because everyone is bored. Be careful of those because they're going to pop up with a hey, hi. We are not going to tolerate that. But the most important thing that I'm going to say, because of this pandemic, right? The WHO is saying that the pandemic is causing an infodemic. I get a lot of information about the world ending, about this and this, and such information causes panic. People are already scared. People are already panic-stricken. So disembursing such information is just making it worse because panic is contagious. So we have to be very careful about how we disseminate this type of information, So I'm just appealing to everybody out there. Go to the CDC website, go on WHO websites, get the information that you need, and then spread that information from confirmed sources. Don't just forward WhatsApp messages because you're causing panic for no reason. So people need to be very careful about the information that they receive, that they digest, and that they disseminate. So let's be amplifiers of positive news, of the right and correct news out there, and stop with the fake news and the untruth news. We are better than that.
Talking about that, I think this is the time for me to ask you, do you have like a song, an uplifting song, something from Zimbabwe, so that people can listen to something like that and then, just feel happy or feel, uplifted, because most of this COVID thing is kind of depressing.
Oh my gosh, you just took me by surprise. A song, is it specifically by a Zimbabwean?
Or anyone, if it's nice.
Oh yeah, I have a song that I'm really enjoying now by Ja Preza called Bokoyo.
Okay.
It has an amazing video, like it's just, yes, that's
song. Before we round up,
yeah.
What is the first thing you're going to do when the lockdown is over?
Besides seeing my family, of course, I'm just going to walk around and see life and activity. Just the little things that we take for granted. Like I said earlier, I'm just going to enjoy the buzz. I'm just going to enjoy the activity. And most probably just have my own party on the streets, just dancing. And I definitely know some people will join me. Yeah.
Well, Phay, thanks for joining us and giving us the perspective about Zimbabwe.
Thank you, Femi.
You're welcome. Stay safe and stay healthy. Let me just ask you to support Africa Web TV also in these trying times by subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell so that you can get notifications whenever we upload new videos.
I'm a king, yes, I'm a king.